Oh, I can, yeah. Good morning. Welcome to Shining Mountains. It's so good to see all of your bright and shining faces. And look outside, you brought the sunshine with you. Isn't that wonderful? So happy to see everyone. We're glad. We know you're a choice at where you want to be today, and we're glad you chose to be with us. This is, happy to see you all. So I have a couple of housekeeping things to remind you before we have our special music, and one is that there are prayer requests on the back table, and we love to pray here. So if you have something that you want us to support you in or something you want us to celebrate with you, fill out one of those prayer requests and put it in the prayer request box, and we will pray for you. Reverend Yvonne and I will pray for you all week. There's also a little thing to sign up if you want to be on our mailing list and you currently are not. And I just want to tell you how glad we are to see you here today, and I believe we have some special music for you.
How long must I beg and bargain for things of this world? How long can I beg and bargain for things of this world? While love is waiting. While love is waiting. I crash the door, enter the chamber of love. How long must I beg and bargain for things of this world? How long can I beg and bargain for things of this world? While love is waiting. Crash the door, enter the chamber of How long can I beg and bargain for things of this world? How long can I beg and bargain for things of this world? Our love is waiting. While love is waiting. I crash the door, enter the chamber of love. I crash the door and enter the chamber of love.
Beautiful. Beautiful music. I believe that's an Aisha original, is that not?
No,
No.
no.
Wonderful.
No,
Okay.
this is another one. I think this is Sufi.
Ah, a Sufi.
This is from a Rumi poem.
A Rumi poem. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So we've come to that time in our service where we get to honor our children, all of the children of the world and the child within each one of us. So I'd like to ask you now to join me in this prayer for our children. We see you, who you really are, made in the image and likeness of God. We cherish you, we support you, and we love you. And moving now into that quiet space within, please join me in prayer. Sweet, sweet Spirit, Father, Mother, God, that divine and holy presence whose in its essence we live and breathe and have our being. God, the good, omnipotent, God who is light and love and peace and joy. God who is health and wholeness and abundance. There is absolutely nothing outside of God. We are one with it, one with light, one with love, one with peace and joy and harmony, one with the one. So as I speak my word this day, I speak it knowing truly our lives are filled with to the overflowing. I know that each and every day we have an opportunity to express that divine love and wisdom within us. I know that each person we meet is an expression of the one. And so I know that as we move through this week, we move through it filled with light and love and joy and wholeness. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the powerful presence of Spirit, for the strength of the divine, for the love of the divine. I'm grateful for this community and for everyone in it. I am grateful for this day. I simply release this word now to the perfect working of the perfect law. Please join me in affirming, and so it is.
How long can I
Beg and bargain for things of this world.
How long can I beg and bargain for
Things of this world.
while love is waiting? While love is waiting. I crash the door and enter the chamber of love.
Beautiful, very beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. That was really beautiful. Beautiful song. So good morning. It is absolutely fabulous to see all you all here this morning. It makes my heart happy. And I was telling Reverend Linda this morning, she, a couple of weeks ago, did a talk, and one of her points was asking questions. And I tell you, I've been so blessed by that talk she gave, because I'm constantly asking myself questions now. So this morning, which happens every single Sunday, if it doesn't happen, I'd be shocked. But every Sunday morning, I drive up the hill. After I leave my house, I drive up the hill to get on the main drag to come to church. And every single Sunday, there's a man walking down the hill, winter, summer, fall, and spring. And it just makes me so happy to see this person because he smiles and waves and I smile and wave. And it's such a happy feeling within me. So of course, after I pass him and get back on my own side of the road, I ask myself, why does this make you so happy? What's the deal? What's the big deal? Well, before I started asking myself questions, I used to make up stories about him. And here's one of the stories I made up. He was coming down the hill to go to his daughter's house so that he could make his grandchildren pancakes for breakfast. What a great guy he is. But today, when I ask myself, what is it that makes you so happy about this? It was the exchange with a stranger. Just a smile, a glance, a wave. How much that filled my heart it was surprising to me. How much that meant to the joy within my soul. And I think when I was able to appreciate it because he's the only person on the street. And I was appreciating how I felt. So that was my clue today, that asking myself questions is not always about how can I improve that, or why did I react like that, or respond to it that way, but also asking myself, where did this delight come from? And we don't have to have the answer, but what I needed was the emotion, to touch into the emotion. You see, the story could have been this guy coming up the hill is someone who's going to rob one of my neighbors down there. Now, would that have given me a good feeling? No, but it would have been exactly what it was, a made-up story in my mind. And my point this morning is we don't have to have the answers. We don't have to know why someone acted or behaves like they do. What we have to do is be the open heart and be the open space to either invite them in or bless them as they go. Yeah, because that's what we say here. Every experience we have is either a call for love. The call for love is the challenging things or the unknown. Either a call for love or an expression of love. Now, the smile and the wave to me is an expression of love. Yeah. So I just wanted to share that with you this morning. It was such I take a lesson. We all take lessons and we apply them in our lives in the way that we want to apply them at the time that we're ready to use them, if we indeed have taken them in. And it was just like, I love asking questions. Going from a person that thought I knew everything that I needed to know all the time about everything to someone who's now so open to just knowing more, knowing different, knowing new. Yeah. So I wondered if we, this past week, I guess this would apply, we put into our consciousness the quote of Walt Whitman's that I read last week, re-examine all that you have been told and dismiss that which insults your soul. That's the most freeing idea. That is a most freeing idea, to look at all the stuff we've been told and let go of that which insults our soul. And when we do that, we have to, that's the cause. That's the effect if it insults our soul. And so we want to go to the cause, which would be, how do you feel about yourself? What do you believe about yourself? How much of God do you know yourself to be? Let's breathe on that. How much of yourself, how much of the time do you know that much of yourself to be spirit, to be godness in form? Well, I want to tell you a little story. We'll start out with a little story about a girl and her grandfather. This took place probably a little while ago, but anyway, little girl was sitting beside her grandfather, and she reached up her little hand and she touched his wrinkled face. And she asked him, "Grandpa, did God make both of us?" Oh, and the grandfather put his arm around the little girl and he said, "Oh, yes, God made both of us. He made me a long time ago. And he made you just a little while ago. And the little girl looked up into grandfather's face and she said, he's gotten better at it, hasn't he? Joy, that's what I love. I love joy. Yes, we are here because we're invited to remember. We're invited to remember not only that there is one Spirit, but that is the Spirit which you are. All that you are is of Spirit. All that you are. And so we're called to remember that, and we're called to practice it and participate in life as if we know this from our belief and our trust in it. So we're just being called all the time to become more, to enjoy more of the freedom of Spirit as us, within us, and become more of that which we are authentically and want to express to the world. That's what we're being called to do. We're dressed in this body, this suit, and we have a personality, but all that we are is God. All that we are is Spirit. We are Spirit in form. And we're just called to remember that, and to remember that when we remember it about ourselves, when we see this about ourselves and know this about ourselves, which will include self-love, that great, big, huge thing that sometimes gets in our way, self-love, then we will know it about others. So that'll be our journey today, is looking into that, how we want to participate and how we are going to practice self-love, or otherwise knowing the Spirit within, knowing our true identity. So the Science of Mind point of view is that there's one principle, one cosmic reality present in the universe. That's all there is, and it's God. And so therefore, when it is said that we're made in the likeness and image of God, that is speaking a truth. It's not a, wow, wouldn't that be great if it were true? No, that is a truth, an unchangeable truth. We are made in the image and likeness of God, meaning we are the grace, we are the beauty, we are the gentleness, we are the tenderness, we are the authentic givingness of God. We are the love of God in form. In form. So we want to be informed about that. We want to remember that, to know it, to embrace it, and to be powered from that knowledge, from that truth. Everything in creation, we know, originates from this one source, because that's all there is. That's all there ever has been and ever will be, is God, one life, one substance out of which everything comes. Everything, the mental universe, the spiritual, the mental, and the physical universe, all life comes from it. All order, all harmony, everything comes out of itself. And therefore, if it comes out of itself, it is like itself. And then here we are, born of free will. Aren't we empowered to choose how we want to do this individually? How we want to show up, and what we want to show up doing, and how we want to interact with others. We are so blessed to have such freedom of choice, and yet to remember that what we are and how we were created is never, it cannot be damaged, it cannot be changed, and nothing can be added to it nor taken from it. It can't be broken. What we are, in essence, essentially what we are, is still intact at all times, under every circumstance and through every experience. And no matter what we think or believe, it doesn't change. It doesn't change the essence of who we are, nor the essence of what everyone is. It's unchangeable. It's a powerful, powerful knowing. And many terms are used to express the divine, the divinity, the thing that we call creator of all life. And scientists refer to it often as pure energy, and philosophers as often as infinite intelligence. And according to theologies and various religions, groups, or whatever, it's God or the Tao or Yahweh or Great Spirit. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what we call it. What we have to remember is that everyone's speaking about the one principle. One principle. Doesn't matter the name. It's just one principle we're talking about. And this pure essence is what we refer to as the divine spark within us. It's our divine spark. And everyone has it. As I said, it can't be damaged or lost. It remains within us, within all of its creation. There's a divine wholeness that there's a divine wholeness out of which this oneness comes. This oneness that we're all created and a part of. It's out of that divine wholeness. So we look like we're separate. We look like we're different. And in essence, here on this plane, in the body form, we are, but out of the same substance, out of spirit, out of that same essence, we are self-divine, out of the divine. So, bottom line, we're all part of God. And it's so important for us to remember this because every single thing we are going to experience, every single thing we are experiencing, every single thing we're going to create, and every single thing we're going to embrace, we must remember we are doing this as God's self. As God's self. I learned yesterday of unexpected death of one of my relatives. Really shocked me, very shocking. And so I had a kind of a long night, and I got up this morning, and I'm working on my talk. And the next thing, and I have my heater plugged in. The next thing I know, I don't have a computer, don't have a heater, don't have anything. And I don't have the skills, I'm admitting, to find that document. I looked. I prayed. I begged, I pleaded, just kidding. Couldn't find the document. But here's what I want you to know. In the night before I went to sleep, because all this stuff is going on with me, all the questions, I said, with God, I can do anything. And God can do anything with me. Otherwise, there's a willingness. And so when that document disappeared this morning, didn't have a bit of an issue. Did not. Didn't even think, oh, God, through me, God can do anything. And with God, I can do anything. It was so solid there from last night. There was no question. So I just went ahead with my little routine this morning, which is make that cup of coffee, make that second cup of coffee, and kept doing what I needed to do. And I talked to my friend in Texas, and she said, oh, that was so, such a wonderful thing, Yvonne, that you thought about, but that you thought. And I said, I didn't think, though. You see, God was there when there was a space open. I'm not saying that I did anything incredible other than leave a space open around that belief, that faith, that through me, God can do anything. And with God, I can do anything. I can do what I'm called to do. So that's why I think it's so incredibly important for us to have that connection. How much of yourself do you see as God? How much of God do you see in yourself as yourself, expressing through self? That's the question, because that's where the power lies. That's where our freedom is. And it's into that space that we can find forgiveness when we need to. We can find tolerance when we need to. We can find grace when we need to. We can find expression of kindness and compassion when we need to. It's from that space within us that knows we are the God self. And when we know that, then we also understand our oneness with all human beings, with all of humanity, with all of life, in fact. We understand that there is a connection. Not because we accepted it or believe it, but because it's the truth. It is truth with a capital T, expressing as life in everything and through everything, and we recognize it. And you know that gives us a power. It gives us the power to take the breath. It gives us the power to make the pause useful to us. Take the pause. Yeah, and ask the question, or let the question go. Take the pause and release the emotion, or embrace a new emotion. Take the pause, because we all have that ability to do that. Because God is all there is, and we're on this eternal walk called life, this spiritual path called life, and we are developing our recognition. We are developing ourselves as the recognized expression of God that we are. And so we come together and we stand under the shelter of each other, leading a life that is thriving because we're part of a beloved community. And we expand our beloved community. The more we love ourselves, the greater our beloved community becomes. Now, one way of loving ourselves is by being kind to ourselves. Like I said, this morning I didn't go, in the past I would have like, oh my gosh, if you had the computer skills you should have had, that 7-year-olds have, I'd have gone on that route. Didn't happen. I want to tell you about a little study I read many years ago and it's about evaluations. This group, anyway, the study was done on a group that was evaluated and a group that did self-evaluation. And guess which group was the hardest? Let's see, how do I want to put this? Okay, I'll just tell you how it is. The people who did self-evaluation were much harder on themselves than when they were evaluated by supervisors, okay? And I read that and I thought, ooh, this is a good way to really see what my employees want to give and where they want support and where they feel support. But here's why this is important for us. We are the expert on ourselves. We really, truly are. I remember this one woman saying to me, or in her evaluation, and I did do this with some employees, in her evaluation she wrote that she figured she gave about 60% of what she could, 60 to 65%. I was shocked. But from that, was so rich. I got to, what would support you? What would you like? What are your interests here? What would you like to change? That kind of conversation. And when we do a self-evaluation, it's never, ever to put ourselves down. It's self-evaluate through self-love. How can I be freer? How can I feel more peace? How can I be part of the harmony I want to experience? That's what self-evaluation is about. And so that's just like Reverend Linda said, ask the question. Ask yourself the question. The question might be, man, there's a lot of chaos out here in this particular area. And then ask yourself the question, am I contributing to it? How do I feel about it? Do I think I need to do anything to change it? Do I think I need to just stay away from it? What is the question? How do we respond to it? So we're asking ourselves question, which means that we're experiencing a degree of self-love when we're not judging, when we're simply asking. The man who wrote the 12 Conditions of a Miracle, that book, one of the things he says in order to experience miracles in your life is to know self-love, appreciation. Quit judging yourself and allow things to happen. Allow things to come into your experience and allow yourself to be grateful for them or learn from them or be discerning about it, whatever it takes for you. But allow this. I'm thinking this year, 2022, we are going to be experiencing incredible things that in 2021 we would have called miracles. But I'm going to call them everyday miracles in 2022 because I feel we'll be experiencing them because we're awakened. We're awakened and we're aware and we're participatory with life. And we practice what we believe. Yeah, we're those practicing, participating individuals. Yeah, because we know that God is all there is. Oh my goodness, life is good. Jesus said, and I'm sure he had a very good reason for it, know the truth and the truth will set you free. And that's what we're looking at. That's the same as like know thyself. It's the same thing. It's bring your truth forward, and not your truth has to be based on truth that is within, truth that is centered in the divine, not the truth that we make up. Like the story about the guy going down to his daughter's house to make pancakes for the children. That's a lovely story, but it's not the truth. Yeah. God is in you, therefore love is in you, because that's what God is. And this love is about compassion and kindness and acceptance and sharing and creative expression and compassion and harmony and peace and love. It's about all of that. It's about all of that. And that's what God is. And therefore, that's what you are. That's what you are. And you know what? We go along in life and we shine up something in us that we think is what our soul is responding to. And that's great. That's absolutely wonderful. We shine up maybe our giving side, or we shine up our creative side, or we shine up our intellectual side, whatever it is. But just remember that we're more than that. We're more than all of the things I've mentioned, because we're all of us. All of that which we are is God. So my friend said to me, but you're not all God. Do you believe that you're all that God is? And it was a wonderful question, a wonderful question. Who would ever say we are all that God is? Here was what the real question for me was, though. What part of God am I not? What part of God are you not? Are you not the loving part, the giving part, the joy? It was a beautiful question. And how would I ever? Well, it's a good question. What part of God the God I believe in, would I say I am not? Would I ever say you are not? Well, my neighbor, yes, but no. It's a good question. It's good for contemplation. It's good for growth. It's good for healing. It's good for peace. Because when we feel that we are the love of God, it heals something within us. And it reveals to us in a greater way that which we really are. It reveals to us something that is a knowingness within. I love this Chinese proverb too. And the Chinese proverb said, when the eye is not blocked, the result is vision. When the mind is not blocked, the result is wisdom. And when the spirit is not blocked, the result is love. So when we can see beyond circumstances and see beyond experiences, when we can see that which is beyond and into our souls and into that idea of God, then we will have a peace and have a real vision that we will live from. And when we can go beyond what we can explain, when we can go beyond what we think we know, and when we go beyond what we believe is right, then we will be embraced by wisdom. We'll be embraced by wisdom, because wisdom only calls for us to be open to it. Yes, that which is beyond my knowledge. So here's the thing. We need to have the courage to listen to the messages of our soul, to listen to the message of the heart. And remember that we are experiencing a world in a way that comes from our thoughts, our words, and our actions. Now hear me again, we are experiencing our world, personally, each one of us are, based on our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions. So the world is creating itself through us, for us. And how we feel about ourselves determines the world we are going to experience. How we feel about ourselves. I was feeling a little bit lonely today. My daughter went off to Connecticut, and she's seeing my 2 grandchildren and their families, and I was feeling a little bit lonely. So when she called me this morning, she said, "How are you, Mother?" I said, "Well, I feel unloved, unwanted, unseen," trying to do the guilt thing with her. Where did that come from? Where did that come from? I have no idea why I told you all that. Oh, okay. It has to do with words, because actually, that's how I felt for a moment. I did feel that for a moment. But even as the words were coming out of my mouth, it wasn't the truth. And so often we'll talk about the problem when really what we want is the solution. What we want is the answer, or we just want to move out of the problem. But too often we'll talk about the problem because that's where our energy and emotion is stuck. And obviously, this morning I was stuck in a little bit of self-pity. Yeah. So, but it came out and it was not even my truth. So sometimes we just need to get those out there and realize the rest of the conversation was fabulous. And at the end, I thanked her for calling. She said, "Oh, I knew you would, we're expecting a call." So it was just a wonderful thing to be able to move out of this self-pity and recognize that my words, as they came out of my mouth and as she heard them, weren't even the truth. Because when we put a lot of energy behind those words of had I kept going, I would have created a whole different experience for myself and probably for her too. Because as we know, we're energy, we're the vibration. The vibration that comes from the words we speak is that which creates. So let's be really aware of the kind of words we are speaking, the actions we are taking, as well as the thoughts we are having. Ernest Holmes says, the universe responds with the same energy we emit. Every action has a reaction. Every cause has an effect. That's that vibration. That's that energy and vibration. Every cause has effect. Our soul projects beliefs that we have accepted as truth. So creation is a product of the soul. And the reaction is a product of the programming of the mind. So we're just talking about spirit as source. The mind constructs, and then the visible is the result of that. And we are the cause through which our thoughts become an effect. So we spend our lives often struggling with wanting to make change, and what we're trying to change is the effect. We are powerful, wise, healthy individuals. Individual expressions of God. Let's recognize that it is not the effect that we need to deal with. It's the cause. Let's go right to cause, so that we are using this energy and this power within us to effect a change, Again, if we change our thoughts, we will change the life that we are experiencing. A mature mind sees cause and long-term effect. An immature mind only sees and chooses instant gratification, regardless of the consequences. So my mind at times is immature. I want that instant gratification. That whole bag of potato chips, though, became the effect of you know what I'm saying? But the cause was not the potato chips. The cause was the amount I ate. Let's not overindulge this week on anything that is not honoring our souls. Let's not overindulge on any kind of judgment, behavior, actions, thoughts that doesn't honor the God within us. So let us move into that space, I ask you. I invite you to move into this space of this recognition of God, the only life, one life, only life, everywhere present. God, love, one and the same. And remember that we are part of that. We are part of that energy, part of that vibration of love. We are part of that. We are part of it and cannot be separated from it. And it is the very thing that connects us to all of life. And so as daunting as that can be to think of, oh my goodness, I'm connected to everything, everywhere, all the time. It's also a very beautiful picture. Because wherever we go, we are part of that space. Whoever we're with, we are in community with that person. However we think, whatever our thoughts are, we are contributing to something. Oh, so let us, from that self-divine within, choose that which honors our soul. That which brings us joy and peace and is part of the harmony of this universe. For above and beyond the chaos or the pain or the confusion, the fear, there is a harmony that is ever present. There is a peace that is always giving of itself. There is love that embraces all, for that is God. And if God is everything, everywhere, all of the time, then we are never separate. We are never alone. And we are really never in want of anything that isn't already ours. And so let us bless ourselves and let us bless our community and let us bless the world with all that we can do and all that we choose to do and all that we know is ours to do. For we come together in this beautiful, beautiful patchwork quilt that is for everyone. A blanket of love, the comfort of love, and the warmth of love. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
speaks the truth, the stars rejoice, and oneness means that every loving thought restores the earth. And this is our moment in this time and place. We bless the Oneness means that we can never ever be away from home. Oneness means that we are all connected all the time. This is our moment in this time and place. We bless the Oneness means that when we make a friend, we help the sun to shine. And oneness means that everything we love begins to live. This is our moment in this time and place. We bless the
Beautiful. Thank you. That's Aisha's song. Again, thank you so much. And it is truly the time where we acknowledge our oneness with all that is. So we've come to that point in our service where we get to put into practice the law of circulation. For those of you who are online, you can go to our website, www.cslkalispell.com, and you can donate there. For those of us who are here in the sanctuary, there is a basket on the back table. So I'd like to ask you now to take your tithe, your gift, your offering, not only in your hand, but in your heart, and join me, please, in this prayer of spiritual giving and receiving. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. And so I want to thank all of you who have joined us online this week. We appreciate your support, your moral support, and your financial support. And we hope that you come back and see us again. Peace, love, and blessings. Thank you.